What if I told you that a security camera recorded something no human should ever see? Not a ghost, not a burglar, not even an animal. The footage showed a dark figure that moved closer every single time someone looked away. At exactly 3:03 a.m., this story began on a cold November night. Jake Morrison had been working as the night security guard at the old Ravenwood distribution warehouse for almost 3 years. The warehouse was enormous. Hundreds of empty aisles, long concrete hallways, rusty metal shelves stretching into darkness. During the day, trucks came and went, but after midnight, the entire building felt like a different world. The only sounds were the humming security monitors and the ticking clock on the wall. Most of the workers refused to stay after sunset. Some claimed they heard footsteps in empty hallways. Others said they saw someone standing on the CCTV cameras. But when they checked, no one was there. Jake never believed those stories. To him, fear was just imagination. That night started like every other shift. He unlocked the security office, checked all 16 CCTV cameras, made himself a cup of black coffee, and settled into his chair. Everything looked normal. The loading dock was empty. The parking lot was deserted. Every hallway was silent. Hours passed. At exactly 3:03 a.m., one of the monitors suddenly flickered. Jake looked up. Camera 7, hallway 7. Standing at the far end of the hallway was a tall black figure. It wasn't moving. It had no face, no clothes, just a human-shaped shadow, darker than the darkness around it. Jake frowned. Probably someone broke in, he whispered. He grabbed his flashlight and radio. As he walked toward hallway 7, the warehouse became strangely quiet. Even the buzzing fluorescent lights seemed to stop. His footsteps echoed through the empty building. He reached the hallway. He slowly pointed his flashlight toward the far end. Nothing. The hallway was completely empty. No doors, no windows, nowhere for anyone to hide. Jake searched every corner, every storage room. Nothing. Feeling embarrassed, he laughed to himself. It must have been a camera glitch. He returned to the security office, but the moment he sat down, his smile disappeared. The figure was back, still on camera 7. Only this time, it wasn't standing at the end of the hallway anymore. It was much closer. Jake immediately rewound the footage. He watched every second carefully. The hallway remained empty. Then suddenly, without walking, without appearing from anywhere, the shadow was simply there. Jake's heartbeat quickened. He replayed the recording again. The same thing happened. No footsteps, no movement, no explanation. For the first time in 3 years, Jake felt genuinely afraid. Trying to stay calm, he convinced himself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe the camera sensor was damaged. Maybe the image was corrupted. He stood up again. "I'm checking one last time." He grabbed his flashlight and headed back toward hallway 7. This time, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was already waiting for him. Jake tightened his grip on the flashlight and walked back toward hallway 7. This time, something felt different. The air had turned unusually cold. His radio began producing a strange crackling sound. Then it went completely silent. As he reached the hallway, his flashlight flickered for a second. He slowly pointed the light toward the far end. Nothing. The hallway was empty again. Jake let out a nervous laugh. Okay, that's enough. He turned around to leave. Then he heard it. One slow footstep behind him. Jake spun around immediately. The hallway was still empty. His heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. He hurried back to the security room and slammed the door shut. The CCTV monitors were still running. Camera 7 was on the screen. And felt the blood drain from his face. The shadow was standing directly outside his door. It wasn't moving. It was just waiting. Then came 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Jake held his breath. The doorknob moved slightly, then stopped. A cold whisper came through the other side. Jake. It knew his name. He reached for his phone with trembling hands and called 911. The operator stayed on the line until police arrived. When officers entered the warehouse, they searched every hallway, every room, every storage area. There was no sign of anyone. One older officer quietly asked Jake, "What time did it happen?" Jake answered, 3:03. The officer closed his eyes for a moment. Then he said, "You're lucky." Jake asked, "Lucky, why?" The officer looked toward hallway 7 before answering. 10 years ago, another guard worked this same shift. He heard the same 3 knocks. He opened the door. They found the security room. But the guard was gone. No footprints, no blood, no signs of a struggle. He simply disappeared. Jake resigned the very next day. The warehouse was permanently closed a few months later. But the security system was never removed. Years later, an engineer restoring old surveillance files found one final recording. It was time-stamped 3:03 a.m. The hallway was empty. Then, for less than a second, a dark figure appeared on the screen, standing closer to the camera than ever before. If you look carefully, you can almost see it smiling.